Hi, I'm Phil McCann, and welcome to my CFO Interview Series. I'm honoured to have the opportunity to speak with some of Australia's most successful global CFOs on topics that are increasingly part of the boardroom agenda. Several of these CFOs are clients of Odgers Berndtson, maybe people we've helped place. All are people I view with the utmost respect. Please enjoy the conversations.
The pandemic has had a really significant impact on the industry, particularly the industry I'm in. I think, first of all, it's accelerated digital transformation in the pace of less than a year. I think what many of us had seen in 10 years literally happened. So I don't think in my generation we've ever seen the pace of change at such the scale that we're at. And at HP, actually, I was running the IT department when the pandemic first broke out, and we had to literally prepare for 50,000 people to work remotely. And frankly, that meant we had to ramp up quickly. We had to adapt to new ways of working. We had to figure out a way to how to enable all of our folks around the world to have an IT help center, for example. And what that really meant is that we had to figure out new ways of working, which initially in the onset of the pandemic, I think we all felt that at some point we'd go back to work. But now we've learned to work in this hybrid environment where hybrid and the work schedule sort of just really morph into one. And as a result, it's really changed, I believe, work forever. The hybrid way of working, and I would have to say the way of learning, are really here to stay. And I think companies have found great ways to embrace, some of the benefits of the hybrid world, as have employees found ways to find new balance in their lives that they might necessarily have. So I'm a big believer that the hybrid world is definitely here to stay.
Look, I think there's been a number of material impacts on business because of the pandemic, and I'd probably put them into three main categories. The first one is the pace of change. So all of a sudden, there's an urgency to make decisions and for a business to demonstrate its ability to be agile and resilient. And I think that's been one of the key changes. And throughout that, I think one of the other things that's come out is people really wanting to make sure that they really understand what the purpose of the organization is. And I think having a good purpose statement that's real and authentic is something that really helped to galvanize everybody, certainly in our organization. So our stated purpose is to connect people every day with life's essentials using our share and reuse business model. So that was a fantastic galvanizing statement for our organization, so that people knew that they were part of critical parts of global supply chains, getting life's essentials to people. And so I think a sense of purpose has been really important, and that's been a heightened focus. And the third area that I think has had a heightened focus through this is that organizations have to recognize, the breadth of the stakeholders that they're responsible and who they owe have an accountability to. So it goes beyond your shareholders, it goes beyond your employees. It includes them, but it also includes the broader communities that we operate within. And so I think there are sort of three areas that I'd call out: the pace of change, the need to show agility. I think the importance of a real sense of purpose in an organization. And last but not least, it's really recognizing the breadth of your stakeholders. And for us, that was a particular area of celebration, because at the end of our financial year, we actually cemented our position as global leaders in sustainability, and we became a carbon neutral organization. So that was a great outcome for us, despite all the disruptions in supply chain and all the challenges, that we were still able to achieve a really important milestone like that.
From an Afterpay perspective, it's actually been, if I dare say, positive. Obviously, a lot of people in lockdown and doing online buying. So from a business perspective, it's obviously allowed Afterpay to grow quite significantly. From a people perspective, it's obviously quite difficult for people. The remote working has gone well, and I think a lot of people will continue to do that. But I also think it's lost a little bit of teamwork and camaraderie that you get by being in the office. So I think if you look at it from pure business, it's certainly enhanced the business. It's allowed us to grow over 100% year on year and continue to do so in each of the jurisdictions that we're in. But from a people perspective, obviously it does tend to take its toll with lockdown being extended as it has been in Australia specifically.
So firstly, and most importantly, the response from our businesses around the globe and their employees was fantastic to see. And that was really proud to see, certainly as an executive member at Newscorp. 90% of our workforce moved seamlessly into a remote environment, and we spent time enhancing our safety protocols for those employees continuing with the critical on-site work, because we had certain employees that had to continue to work on the front line. As a result of the efforts by our staff and some change in consumer behaviours that we saw within the market and strong execution on our strategy, Newscorp actually had our most profitable year since we separated in 2013, which was great. When I think back across the past 18 months or so, there have been many important milestones and initiatives that will help shape our company as we move forward. We saw the historic revaluing of our content through landmark news payment agreements with the major tech platforms, which is fantastic and goes to the heart of us being in trusted news platforms. We continue to focus our investments in our growth areas with the acquisition of Investor Business Daily into the Dow Jones segment, Mortgage Choice into digital real estate, and the media division of Horton Mifflin Harcourt into HarperCollins. We also were able to take advantage of the required sale of Opus, which we expect to strengthen and ultimately transform the Dow Jones professional information business. And our strong cash position and record results have enabled us to review our capital returns policy with a recently announced buyback and the rescinding of the rights plan that had existed since the company separated in 2013. So those, together with the increased pace of digital progress across our businesses as a consequence of the pandemic, our heightened focus on fewer key priorities. We're a great business for focusing on lots of things, so we focused on fewer things. And the cost and the transformation activities which we accelerated across many of our businesses, which were in train, but we brought forward and we accelerated, as I said, have provided great momentum for the company as we start the new year.
Well, our biggest priority has been focusing on our people, the safety and well-being of our 25,000 employees across the world. We've really been ensuring that they've remained safe. About 80% of our people are in critical businesses, essential workers on the front line, and so have continued to go to their workplace, whether that be in a plasma centre, in a manufacturing facility. And so we've asked a lot of our people to work in different ways, in different settings, with different PPE requirements. And so the resilience and the commitment and the resolve that our people have shown has been actually really remarkable and been key to our business continuity. In terms of our underlying businesses, we've experienced both headwinds and tailwinds from the pandemic. In our plasma side, our plasma-derived products, they're a large part of our revenue base, and they rely primarily on donations, particularly in the US, where reduced mobility, social distancing, we saw a significant drop-off in our plasma donations. And while they're starting to normalise, we're still not yet back to pre-pandemic levels. And then on the other side of our business, Seqirus, which is our influenza vaccine business, we've actually had a tailwind where many countries have been working to avoid a twinned pandemic of flu and COVID. And so we've seen record sales of influenza vaccines.